Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to online classes and have a pleasant morning to all of you. Now, I, Ajay Kumar, your English teacher, is going to complete this chapter, Mr. Tallent's Ghost, written by Mary Webb of New Pathways book of Standard 8. And so far of this chapter, in previous four videos, we have gone through line by line explanation in Hindi as well as in English. Now in this part of the video we'll see the summary and exercises question answer of this chapter also. So let's begin with the summary of this chapter. Mr. Talent Ghost story is written by Mary Webb, in which the character is Mr. Talent himself and a narrator come barrister and his friend Mr. Johnson and their Mr. Talent's relatives which are unknown, which whose name is not given in this story. So the story begins with the meeting of Mr. Talent to the barrister in the inn when he was out for vacation in the London. Now, when Mr. Talent came to meet the barrister, he showed him the manuscript which was written by him. He told about the bill to him also, and while doing so, he read the manuscript to the narrator, which seems to be nonsense according to the narrator, because he found nothing in that story which could be published in the market. He was waiting for the action, drama, or any type of twist which could excite him as a reader, but he could not find that. After that, Mr. Talent offered him to be the trustee of the manuscript, and he said that he was leaving all his money for the posthumous publication of his manuscript. After these incidents, the narrator cum barrister left his address in writing to Mr. Talent and went back to his own place. Now, after 10 years, when the narrator cum barrister saw his death notice in the paper, he remembered about the manuscript again and started working on his bill. Because the clerk of lawyer said that the relations were quite angry since they have not received any money, which were their living rights. And the narrator himself said that let me go through the manuscripts which could be published in the newspaper. And for this work, he called one of his best friend. He was a critic and was having mastery in unearthing a masterpiece. His name was Johnson. Narrator gave all the manuscripts to him to find out the masterpiece work out of all those manuscripts, but he could not do so, and he told that these all manuscripts are nonsense. However, the pressure was emerging or rising continuously on the narrator to distribute the money among their relations, Mr. Talent's relations. Now, the narrator thought to call a meeting of all the relations, and thereafter he called the meeting. While holding the meeting, he saw the ghost of, I can say, the shade of Mr. Talent's out of the room. And from there, he doubted of this all incident. Mr. Tallent's ghost started haunting the narrator every time. After the meeting, narrator and the relatives decided to settle this case out of the court with the help of eminent lawyers and judges, in which it was decided to pay the equal money, whatever money which was withdrawn out of the publication, out of all that money, half will be distributed among the relatives, and the case was settled. But after 6 months of the distribution of the money, the relations of Mr. Tallent was also getting haunted by Mr. Tallent's ghost. 6 out of 13 relatives were admitted in the hospital. Meanwhile, haunting of the narrator was also continued. Now, in this story, the narrator was also asked to be in the hospital when he contacted his specialist doctor because of the fear which was haunting continuously to narrator every time when he was alone. Since he was a firefighter, you can say, or you can say a very strong person with a very strong determination, he did not get admitted into the hospital, and he was trying to get his hand over Mr. Tallent's ghost. Now, in the end, he got this opportunity when Mr. Tallent's ghost was roaming on a long empty road. There he took the taxi and caught him on that road. When he holded him, he was quite a human person and not a ghost. He was quite solid, like as a human person and not a ghost. Hold on just. When he found him to be a solid, he took Mr. Tallent into that taxi and bring him at his house and inquired about him, that where was he was supposed to be dead, but Mr. Tallent replied that he was never dead and he was in America, and he was the person who is responsible for all the fear. He has haunted his relatives also, he is haunting the narrator also. And when it was asked that why you were doing so, the narrator said that it was the part of numerous experiment for his next upcoming novel, that was an exhaustive inquiry which will be based on the power of human endurance. So this is how the story ends. Now, dear student, we will see question answer of this chapter. We will go through the exercises. So let's go through that pages first. So the first question, let me take the brush first. On the basis of your understanding of the text, tick the best choice of the answer. The narrator's first impression of Mr. Tallent was that he was a, पहला जो impression था वो क्या था? He was a prolific writer, a mysterious person. Mysterious person तो नहीं था पहला, formidable भी नहीं होगा, boring पहला तो नहीं था, बाद में उसको पता चलता है बोरिंग है. prolific writer, right? Next हम लोग देखेंगे क्वेश्चन. द नरेटर इनिशियली फेल्ट दैट मिस्टर टैलेंट्स only purpose in life was to haunt people. नहीं, ऐसा तो नहीं था. Get himself published, read his story to others. अच्छा, शुरू में उसको ऐसा एहसास हुआ कि जो मिस्टर टैलेंट का वो क्या पर्पस था. रीड हिज स्टोरी टू अदर्स, क्योंकि वो बार बार कहानी को पढ़ता रहता था. मिस्टर टैलेंट्स डिज़ायर वॉज टू, मिस्टर टैलेंट का क्या डिज़ायर था. मेक मनी आउट ऑफ हिज बुक, हॉन्ट हिज फ्रेंड्स, हॉन्ट हिज रिलेटिव, कंडक्ट अ स्टडी, हॉन्ट हिज रिलेटिव्स. नेक्स्ट है आपका क्वेश्चन, दैट इज वेयर एंड हाउ डिड द नरेटर मीट मिस्टर टैलेंट, what did he expect of the narrator. So to the answer of this question, listen it quietly, ध्यान से सुनिएगा. इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर होगा वेयर एंड हाउ डिड नरेटर मीट मिस्टर टैलेंट. तो इसका आंसर होगा मिस्टर टैलेंट मीन the narrator met with Mr. Talent when he was in London on vacation in the inn. And what did he expect of the narrator? तो इसका आंसर होगा he expected the narrator to listen to his story or manuscript, whatever he was reading, and in end he told him to be the trustee of his manuscript after his death. ये दूसरा क्वेश्चन का आंसर हो गया. थर्ड क्वेश्चन हम लोग देखेंगे. What was the narrator's impression of Mr. Talent's writing and narration? तो ये तो काफ़ी इजी क्वेश्चन है. What was the narrator's impression? जो नरेटर का इम्प्रेशन था वो मिस्टर टैलेंट के राइटिंग के बारे में वो क्या था और नरेशन के बारे में वो कैसा था. तो इसका जवाब जो है होगा द नरेटर्स इम्प्रेशन ऑफ मिस्टर टैलेंट्स राइटिंग एंड नरेशन वॉज नॉट सो गुड बिकॉज he found it to be so boring, so wondrous for the readers, because there were no twist, there were no action drama coming into the story. However, he went on with the reading, but the narrator was not so much impressed by Mr. Talent's manuscript. Next question हम देखें. Question number 4. When was second time the narrator heard of Mr. Talent? ये दूसरा when was the second time that the narrator heard of Mr. Talent? तो दूसरी बार मिस्टर टैलेंट के बाद नरेटर ने दूसरी बार नरेटर मिस्टर टैलेंट के बारे में नरेटर कब जाना. तो इसका आंसर होगा द सेकेंड टाइम द नरेटर हर्ड ऑफ मिस्टर टैलेंट व्हेन हिज डेथ नोटिस वाज पब्लिश्ड इन द पेपर, न्यूज़पेपर. ये हो गया इसका आंसर. क्वेश्चन नंबर 5 देखेंगे हम. हु वाज जॉनसन एंड व्हाई डिड द नरेटर, what did the narrator expect of him? जॉनसन कौन था? जॉनसन was the friend of the narrator and he was a you can say a journalist. अब नरेटर क्या एक्सपेक्ट करता था उस जॉनसन से? द नरेटर एक्सपेक्टेड हिम टू फाइंड आउट masterpiece from his manuscript. His means Mr. Talent's manuscript. Next question हम देखेंगे 7 number. Why were Mr. Talent's relatives angry with the narrator? Mr. Talent के जो सगे संबंधी थे क्यों नाराज थे? तो इसका आंसर होगा Mr. Talent's relatives were angry with the narrator because they have not received any money from Mr. Tallent's will. About the manuscripts, they said it was worthless, but they have the living rights on it. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन हम देखेंगे, वेयर एंड हाउ डिड द नरेटर फाइनली मैनेज टू गेट होल्ड ऑफ मिस्टर टैलेंट. ये तो एंड में होता है ना, एंड में जब वो, सो इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर होगा वेयर एंड हाउ डिड नरेटर फाइनली मैनेज टू गेट होल्ड ऑफ मिस्टर टैलेंट. तो इसके बारे में आंसर होगा व्हेन, आई मीन आफ्टर अबाउट 3 years after Tallent's death, Mr. Narrator saw him hastening down a long road which has no side streets, and it was leading out of it. There he saw Mr. Tallent again, and to get hold of Mr. Tallent, he took the taxi and reached near him and flung over him and caught him. So this is the seventh answer. Next हम क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. What had been Mr. Tallent's intention of doing what he had done? What had been Mr. Tallent's intention of doing what he had done? इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर, hold on just 1 second. So इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर होगा Mr. Tallent's intention was to do numerous experiment into the power of human endurance, because he have haunted earlier to his relatives, to the narrator himself also, because he wanted to write a novel with the title An Exhaustive Inquiry. So dear student, we have completed the question answer. Now reading 2 is a critical question answer. You can think about the story and you can write it by your own. It will bring creativity into you. Now we'll see vocabs. So I could not place Mr. Tallent nor elucidate him to my satisfaction. He intrused me. So इसका आंसर होगा, you can answer it in the comment section box simultaneously before I tell you the answer. So इसका आंसर होगा fascinated. He had neutral colored hair and eyes, a nondescript suit. नॉनडिस्क्रिप्ट का मतलब दो हो सकता है इसमें, या तो डिस्टिंक्ट होता है या अनयूजुअल मतलब थोड़ा सा बेढप टाइप का, तो अनयूजुअल इसका होगा आंसर. We'll see question number 3. The most noticeable thing about him was an expression of passive and enduring obstinacy. तो enduring obstinacy का मतलब मैंने बताया है आपको जब चैप्टर में पढ़ा रहा था. enduring का मतलब होता है सहना और obstinacy का मतलब होता है जिद. तो we'll see for stubbornness का मतलब भी होता है जिद. So persistent stubbornness is the correct answer. नेक्स्ट है आपका नाउ एज अ रूल आई एम एज वेरी ऑफ मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट्स एज अ हेयर ऑफ अ ग्रे हाउंड्स. इसका मतलब होता है वेरी का कॉशियस, सावधानी पूर्वक. ए ऑप्शन करेक्ट होगा. नेक्स्ट है एज स्ट्रेंजर knowing nothing of my hopes and aims, yet willing to undertake so onerous a task. onerous का मतलब पेनफुल, मैंने एक्सप्लेन किया था. डिफ़िकल्ट, तो यहाँ डिफ़िकल्ट सही लग रहा है, कठिन जिसको बोल सकते हैं. He went on reading, I went on and awaiting the tragedy, but there was no tragedy. My head acted abominably. तो abominably का मतलब होगा यहाँ पे terribly, खतरनाक तरीके से उसका सर दर्द करने लगा. नेक्स्ट है आपका he said he was leaving all his money for the posthumous publication of his manuscript. तो posthumous का मतलब होता है आफ्टर डेथ. नेक्स्ट है they were a prolific family. Here it will be prolific का मतलब fertile होता है. नेक्स्ट हम देखेंगे 9 नंबर अ पैथेटिक चैप टैलेंट ही सेड. तो इसका मतलब होगा पिटिएबल. नेक्स्ट है आपका it he was emotionally harrowed by the pitiful letters that the relations were now sending to all the papers. तो इसका होगा harrowed का distressed. So dear student, now we have completed, however this is some writing work which you should do in your copy, and we have completed this whole chapter and fifth part of the video. Now we will meet in next video with new topic from New Pathways book. So stay tuned with the channel and do like and subscribe the video and channel. Do share the video link to your friends who are in need of this chapter's explanation. Thank you for everyone. Have a nice day.